Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Jocelyn Louise if we have not met. Tonight I'm very excited to be sharing with you all about knowing me, and I'm focusing in on the where. Where in our lives, where in my life, where in our lives is it important that we get to know ourselves? I've actually got notes tonight. I'm really excited. So I'll try not to look at them too much, but they're going to help keep me on track. So where in my life is it important that I get to know myself? So, knowing our values is a really big one, so that we can live in integrity, we can walk them out, we can see where we are living in alignment with our values and where we might not be. Where we're sort of off the mark a bit, or where we'd really like, it can give us a direction, it can give us a focus that, okay, when we recognize what our values even are and keep them in mind, because quite often I'm like, I don't know what my values are. I've got some really good tools that I'm getting much more solid on those now, and we're going to be diving into this in my course, Knowing Me, as well, where we will be looking at our values and looking at all of these things that we'll be talking about. When we know our values, we can check in with them and we can ensure that we're actually living in alignment with them. When we don't know them, or we don't remember what they are, or we've sort of got them far off out of our radar, we don't know what our values are, or we just don't think about them like ever, then it can be more difficult to sort of check in and think, well, is this what I want? Or I find knowing my values really helps me in making decisions. And making decisions was a really big thing for me. For a long time, I've gotten so much better at it, yay. We have so much practice at making decisions all day, every day. In everything we do. Decision fatigue is absolutely a thing. I find the supermarket completely overwhelming when I'm getting a little bit lost on my values there, I think, too. When I'm sort of feeling a little bit like, oh, where am I going here? When I know exactly what I'm going in there to get, and I know that I'm just avoiding that aisle completely, it's totally easy. It's totally fine. But decisions, choosing our clothes can be an overwhelming thing sometimes. I know I used to get overwhelmed with that, and I'll share a bit more about that as we go as well. But yes, knowing our values helps us live in integrity. It makes it so much easier to make our decisions as we know what we value and which choice fits us best. So when we're trying to weigh up this or this or this or this, it's sort of that, well, you know, this, I know that this is really important to me. So it can really help lean into, yeah, okay, well, does that fit with that? And yeah, I've got notes. If you see me looking off to the side, I've got notes tonight. Oh, look at that. So I have an example that came up last week for us, that hubby's values are also around healthy eating for him as well. So he's been fasting, he's been training non-stop, he's been exercising outside of training as well, and he's working towards some really big goals. And then he went and drank some Coke, which does not fit with what we've been doing food-wise for the last 18 months at all. So I was a really big, like, what's going on there? How does the Coke fit into this picture of a 3-day fast and then go and drink a bottle of Coke? Like, hang on, this doesn't align with your values. What's going on? So we dug a bit deeper and we found some beliefs there that were influencing that, or a bit of an old pattern that was playing out and going on in there. So that's what I love about with some of the coaching stuff, that we get to dig into that and we get to release that and we get to bring some conscious awareness to it, because he knows when he does that, that it's not helping him, it's not serving him, it's not helping him to achieve those goals. And I find it easy to use his example. I'll use plenty of mine as well, but I've got his permission, don't worry. But the thing is that he can drink the Coke, he can enjoy the Coke and feel good about it if he's making a conscious decision that, hey, I'm going to go treat myself to a drink of Coke, if that's what he wants to do. But that's not what was going on there. It's a self-sabotage thing. It's a, I'm working really hard towards this thing and then I'll drink Coke. Like, it does not fit at all. It doesn't fit with his values, it doesn't fit with his goals and what he's working towards. So it's really looking at how that doesn't fit into the picture and what's going on for us there when things like that happen and come up. Which, we're all human, we all have our vices, we all make mistakes, we're never perfect, and we don't have to be. I've had so many people trying to convince me that perfection doesn't exist. I have been a hardcore perfectionist, so I'm still struggling with that one. I've reframed it a lot, but I'm still not sure that perfection doesn't actually exist. I'm like, but there is perfection in nature, in the ocean, in the flowers, in our children. I can see it everywhere. So I think perfection does absolutely exist, and we are perfectly human. We are having a perfectly human experience. We are perfectly imperfect. We don't have to do anything to be perfect. We just are. Trying to frame that and say that I think I'm perfect. No. But reshifting that a bit. Just that we don't have to be perfect. Our hair doesn't have to be perfect. I used to think, my hair had to be perfectly straight and all the things. I keep tucking it behind my ear because as I'm looking down a little bit, it keeps falling forward. But anyway, when we know ourselves, what we're capable of, and that we can handle anything, whatever comes up for us, whatever life throws at us, then we can do more of what we want to do, more of what we love, and more of what feels good for us. So that is where knowing ourselves is really big and really important, and something we all need to do a little bit more. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are so far disconnected from ourselves. I know I certainly was, and it's still a journey. Now there's fly in here. It's still a journey that I am walking, and it's a bit of a continual one for me, and maybe for all of us, that just rechecking in and just, we can get off track. We can get off on another path that we're like, hang on, is this where I want to be? Is this the direction I actually want to be going? And it's awesome that we can reflect and think, well, hang on, let's just redirect and get back to where we do want to go. Because we can be working towards this goal and then realize it actually isn't what I want, even if we achieve it and think, it doesn't feel the way I thought it would feel. And that can happen when we're not following our desires, our values, living in integrity with the way we want to live. And I'll get more into that as well. When we live from a space of making decisions to appease others, here it is, there in my notes, yay! No one's really happy, and certainly not us. So when we're living from that space of we're trying to please other people and we're trying to do what we think we should do instead of what we actually want to do, and checking in with us and what we want. So a big part of knowing ourselves for me is knowing what I want. I've told myself for a really long time, I don't know what I want, which is why I found it really hard to make decisions. I do know what I want. Just getting in touch with that and finding that and digging through that, and amongst all of the other stories and all the other things and all the shoulds and all the things that other people tell us and that society tells us that we should want or we should be working towards or we should already have achieved or whatever, or the way we think we should look or whatever it is, these magazines and Picture Perfect and Instagram, that can all play a part as well, and it can get in our subconscious as well and feed into this belief that we're not enough, we're not good enough, and that we'll never be perfect like we think that someone else is. They're not perfect either. They're perfectly imperfect, just like we are. So we're all perfect. When we try to please everyone, this has been a big one for me, we end up pleasing no one. I've been a big people pleaser. So one of the things in the course, Knowing Me, we'll be looking at is those roles we play. That people-pleasing role of not wanting to upset or offend or step on anyone's toes. It's kind of impossible. If someone's going to get upset, they're going to get upset anyway, if they're going to get upset or offended. And quite often it's really not actually about us. It's, we're actually in control of our own feelings. We can't control their feelings. We can't control what they think of us or how they interpret things. Now, one of my biggest favorite things is just care enough to clarify. If someone says something that you find really hurtful or offensive, clarify, is that what you meant by that? Because I interpreted this way. And if you could clarify and we could communicate about that effectively, it would save so many unnecessary hurts that, well, no, that's not what I meant at all. Thank you so much for asking and letting me clear that up, because no way, that's not how I meant that at all, and we can explain. But, what I've done in the past is try to over-justify everything. And that's not great either, when it's not being asked or not necessary. But people will get upset, and it's more about the way they see things, their perception, their beliefs. And sometimes it's more about what they think is possible. And if you're living something different to that or going for something that they don't think is possible, it can be coming from a space of they want to protect you. Don't go after something that they think is impossible and you're going to fail at. Probably a good analogy for that is like trying to be a rock star or something. People would think, oh, you're never going to make it. Well, people do. So we have these beliefs that that's not possible, or that that's not possible for us. So if someone else is projecting their beliefs that that's not possible for them onto us, it's not actually really about us. It's about them not thinking that they can do it. And quite often that's what's going on there. I've done a lot around understanding this. Hopefully the audio is better now. So us not doing what we want to do, still won't make that other person happy. If we're not doing what we want to do because we don't want to upset or offend anyone else, it's not going to make them happy, and it's certainly not going to make us happy. So may as well do what we want to do anyway, as long as we're not hurting someone else and all of those things. But there's a lot of perceived hurts, like that caring enough to clarify. You know, we can interpret things differently, and that's not what was going on at all. Or a really good example of this that I've heard recently is, like, you know, these group of friends, and they think this girl is amazing, and they want to plan a surprise birthday party for her because they think she's so great. And so she comes into the room, and they've been whispering and planning this surprise birthday party for her, and then she comes into the room and she steps in on that, and she thinks, oh, they've gone all quiet, they're talking about me, they don't like me. Oh, she feels awful about herself and about her friends, who she feels like, oh, they don't like me at all, when that's not what's going on at all. They like her so much that they want to plan this beautiful surprise party for her, but she can't see that, she doesn't know that. So this is where some of those perceptions can get a bit skewed and out of whack. So they're in control of their feelings, we're in control of our feelings. We have a sphere of influence, so in the middle of it is us, and then outside of it is what we control. We can control us, we can control our feelings, we can control our reactions, our responses. We can choose not to react. We can choose to respond in a calm way. We can choose not to take offense if that's it, or we can challenge that, or we can say, well, is that what that meant? Or we can, you know, clarify. All of these things. There are things outside our sphere of influence that we really can't control. There are things out there that are beyond our control, but we can control what we want, what we choose, and what we do. And yeah, we're allowed to look at what we want. So they don't really think that, they're not necessarily saying that they don't think it's possible for you. Sometimes when we're sharing something with someone, they're not necessarily saying that they don't think it's possible for you. They're saying that they don't think it's possible for them. And it might even come out in a way that it sounds like they're disapproving of you, when it's more that, oh no, I don't think I could do that. And it's like, for example, I don't want to live in a caravan. I do. I think it's amazing. But other people might think, oh, I don't know if I could handle this or this or this out about it. Or, you know, whatever it is, I think it's amazing. We travel full time in a caravan. We've been on the road for 2 years, and I love it. It's amazing. It took me a long time to get us here, and it's just incredible. It's so much better than I thought it would be. And it's the way I want it to be. And we have had some people who have struggled with that, who have, that's not what they want, or that's not what they think the way things should be, and it's been challenging for them. A really good example I have for that one is like our hair. Getting to know ourselves, how we feel comfortable, how we want to dress, how we want to wear our hair. Like, it is so individual, it is so personal that I have an example that my brothers had a problem with me having red hair. I'm like, well, I can't help that. I was born with it. For a long time, I really didn't like it. It's red and it's curly, and even when I dyed it black, it made no difference to his attitude towards it at all. But it's one of those examples where, how does my hair affect anyone else? How does that hurt anyone else? It really doesn't. If people are taking a problem with our hair, like, we've got bigger problems, you know. Just, oof, there's something else going there. But it's just, sometimes we can get caught up in little things, and it's not about the hair. There's something else behind that. But live and let live, you know. Why try and change ourselves to appease someone else like that? Like, even where I dyed my hair black, and that didn't change my brother's attitude towards me whatsoever. And this was like teenage years. We don't have to change ourselves to try and please someone else. Please ourselves first. Do what makes us happy, what makes us feel good. I know with my clothes, I used to feel like I had to dress a certain way around certain people. Like around my dad, I had to wear jeans, I had to cover up my nan, I had to really make sure I was covered up and quite conservative. And I had my hair shaved on one side for a while there. And I went and visited my nan like that. And I'm like, ooh, this was grown years when I'm much more comfortable being me. Didn't say a thing. There's other things though, like we were pregnant with our third baby. Using lots of examples here for you. And when I told my nan this happy, exciting news, she was less than impressed, less than happy for me, because she believes that we should have the two that we've got and be happy with that. We've got the pigeon pair, we've got the boy and the girl, we don't need any more, that's it. And I've mentioned a few times that I want more babies. I love children. I want more. And she's like, no, you don't need any more. I'm like, well, sorry, Nan. It's my life. I don't even have to have that conversation. But it's just like, yeah, okay. But understanding that's her beliefs and what she wants, and that's what she had and what she believes, that's fine for her. But, we don't have to project those sorts of beliefs on each other. It's really interesting. But getting to know ourselves and what we want, and if we want more than 2 children, even if someone else isn't going to be happy for us about it, that's okay. They don't have to be if they don't want to be. It's one of those things that I could have taken great offense to that, but I didn't at all. It's just like, that's okay. It's fine. That's her stuff, my stuff. It's all good. There's that separation, which is great. So we can collect evidence of anything that we want to believe. We can actually choose to challenge our beliefs. So those people who might have a challenge or might have a problem with us living a certain way or doing something that they don't agree with or that they don't approve of or that they wouldn't want for themselves or that they wouldn't think is possible for themselves, I think that's the more little niggly one that we want to get into. If it's because they don't think it's possible for them, we could challenge that. Not us. They need to challenge that. But for us, that comes to us challenging those beliefs that we hold. And some people will really struggle with it because they've held these beliefs for a really long time, their whole life, or almost since childhood. And challenging that can be difficult. It can be sort of, looking at, what I've believed to be true and the way I think things have to be is not really the case. So that can be quite confronting. But for us, when we can do that for ourselves and we can look at our beliefs and think, well, I've always thought that wasn't possible, that I wasn't capable of that, but I can see that person's done it, and if that person can do it, then maybe it's possible. Maybe it's possible that I can too. If they can, why not me? So collecting evidence of what we want to believe, of what we want for ourselves, and seeing that, well, it is possible. It can't be impossible because they did it. And we can collect more evidence of more examples of other people who've done these things that we want to do, who are doing them successfully, or, learning along the way. There's no fail. There is attempting, there is learning, and the failure is only if we don't learn the lessons in it. Thomas Edison, and how many ways did he learn not to make a light bulb? I'm sure he discovered a whole heap of other amazing stuff while he was in that process. But if we don't try, we'll never get there. If we don't start, if we don't take those first few steps, if we're too scared to fail or to look silly or whatever it is that we're afraid of, looking at those fears too can be really important. And see that, well, it is possible. We might fail a few times along the way. We might find some things that don't work along the way or that we don't enjoy, but keep going. We will find the successes and the wins on the way. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's all a journey, and it all gets to go upwards. All gets to go in that positive direction. We get to build and work towards whatever it is that we want. And literally, it can be whatever you want. If you want something, you are capable of it. You wouldn't want it if you couldn't have it. I love that. For a long time, I told myself I wasn't even allowed to want things. It came up for me last year when we were going hot air ballooning. And I'm like, am I even allowed to want this? This is amazing. We didn't even do it for a special occasion. It was about a month before my birthday. I'm like, no, we need to save this. This is too big. This is too... We can't just go and do that. Why not? Who's telling me I can't? Me. I was the only one telling me I can't go hot air ballooning. I'm like, but it's been on my vision board for like 2 or 3 years. I want to do it. Let's go do it. So we did, and it was amazing. And yay, I'm now instilling this belief that I'm allowed to have what I want. I'm allowed to want things. I'm allowed to do what I want. It's amazing. It's so good. Instead of these beliefs that I can't have that, I can't want what I want. If I want that, I'm a spoilt brat. That's the message. That's the conditioning. So taking away those stories or challenging those stories and thinking, well, is that really true? Am I going to be an ungrateful, spoilt brat if I go and do the thing that I want to do?
no, I don't think that's true or necessary. I don't think I have to become a spoilt brat to be able to do what I want or have what I want or have a third baby. Even wanting more, I found a really good analogy. I heard a really good analogy recently from one of my mentors that I already have 2 children. The fact that I want a third one, does that mean I don't appreciate or I'm ungrateful for the 2 that I already have? Absolutely not. Of course I appreciate and love, and I'm so grateful for the 2 I have, and I can want another one. So that's the same for anything in life that we want more of. More money, more whatever, anything it is. We can bring it back to that kind of analogy, and we can challenge those thoughts and think, well, is that true? Well, maybe I'm allowed. Maybe it's possible. Okay. So collecting evidence for what we want. We seek evidence of what we believe. So we seek evidence of the things that we already believe. So if we believe that there are more blue cars than there are any other color car, we might see that. We can look out at the road and we can see all these blue cars. And then if we choose to see all the red cars and we focus on the red cars, we will see just as many red cars as we will blue cars. It's that simple. So getting back to when we know ourselves, our values, our core drivers is another really big one. My core drivers, when I learned that, was huge. Mine are a connection and adventure, which makes a lot of sense to me. When we looked at my husband's, they were, I can't remember what his were now. I should. He'd better remember. We went through a few things and we were looking at certainty and uncertainty, and I wanted all this uncertainty and the adventure and the variety, and he wanted the security and the certainty and the knowing. I'm like, no, I don't need to know. I want all the other exciting things. But he needed some stability, some security, some all of that. So to make this leap where we stepped into full-time travel, we needed to provide things for him to have that certainty, to have that security. Okay, well, this is how we're going to do it. This is how the money's going to work. This is how we're going to have this car. It's going to be reliable. We're going to have this caravan. We're going to do it this way. Working out some of the details for him so he could understand or look at where he could feel secure and safe in all of that. Whereas I'm like, let's just go. We'll figure it out on the way. It'll be fine. And I thought he was more happy-go-lucky than that too. But when we look at these things and we get to know each other and understand each other in a partnership like that, and ourselves, it's amazing. It can make such a huge difference, and it made such a big difference for our relationship and meeting each other's needs in that way and getting our own needs met as well, learning to communicate those and seeing what's important for us and what's important for them and what fits with our values and all of those things. When we can understand our triggers, our feelings. Ooh, that word. Men can I'm generalizing, men can pull away from the feelings. We don't want to look at that stuff. Women can be a bit more touchy-feely. It's okay for women to cry. I've heard recently that men aren't allowed any other emotion other than anger. Growing up, if they cry, they're sooks, they're wimps. I don't believe this. This is not true. This is social conditioning. This is, boys don't cry. This is rubbish. It's not true. But we've grown up with that. So it can be harder for men to get in touch with their feelings. And women too. It's not a one-size-fits-all rule. It's a generalization that this is how society plays it. But women are allowed every emotion except anger. If women are angry, then they're Karens and they're crazy and they're irrational and they're whatever. We get called all these nasty names. Anger, like all of the other emotions, is a human emotion. We all feel anger at some point, and it's normal. It's okay. It's human. All feelings are okay. There are no good feelings or bad feelings. There are just feelings. There are emotions. And I love the whole emotions are energy in motion, and we want to move them through that motion. We literally move them through. You can move your body to let them move through. We can release them in so many ways. So many ways. We can journal, we can walk, we can run, we can scream, we can punch a pillow, we can, not just anger, any of the emotions. We can cry. Cry is a huge release. Crying actually serves a purpose. I realized that recently, and I didn't know that. I've been told since I was a baby that I don't cry, that I'm not allowed to cry. I cry now. It's one of the things that I've done along my journey, is learn how to feel those feelings and how to release them instead of suppressing them. Because every time I cry, it's still this thing that's still a thing for me, that I feel like I'm choking. I'm trying to choke it down. I'm trying to push it down. I don't want it to come out. I don't know why, but it's been 30 years of pushing that down. So getting okay with that, and all of the other feelings, feeling whatever we feel, it's okay. And same with our kids, recognizing that it's all right. It's all right to cry. It's okay to feel sad. That really hurt, didn't it? Oh, I can see that. Ow. You know, instead of, oh, don't be a silk, get over it. So, learning about our values, our core drivers, our feelings, our triggers for our feelings, the things that make us feel a certain way and in us. And that could be something from childhood, that something's triggered there, and that every time those words are said, or in that situation, we feel this feeling, whatever it is, it comes up. And like for me, if my husband says I don't care to me, that's one of my triggers. I'm like, ooh. You can say I don't mind. That's totally different. But if you say you don't care, ooh, I don't like that. It makes me feel something. And I need to deal with that one. I have to dig into that a bit more. But there's lots we can do about our feelings to shift them, to get back to feeling the good feelings, if that's what we want, to focus on the positive, to reframe these things, all of it. To challenge those beliefs that no longer serve us. So those feelings are influenced by our thinking, our thoughts, which come from our beliefs. So those beliefs, as we've discussed, aren't always true. They're not, we can challenge them. We can see that actually, well, this might be possible because I can see that they've done it. I can see that they're doing it. And like there's 70,000 families traveling Australia at the moment. It is very possible that if you want to travel around Australia in a caravan, you absolutely can. And there is no one right way of doing it. There are so many different ways we can do things. So many people think that it's not possible for them, or that it has to be a certain way, or that you have to have 50 grand in the bank first, or that you have to have a $100,000 caravan first. We do not. We have an $11,000 caravan. There's so many different ways you can do it. You can free camp. You can pay $60 a night to stay in a caravan park. You can pay $20 a night to stay in a caravan park. There is so much variation. You can house sit. You can do all sorts of amazing things. We've done Workaway, which is similar to Woofing or HelpX. Exchange, love it. Amazing experiences, all completely different. You can tent camp. You can do anything. All the things. This is just one example. Our self-talk. That voice in our heads. Now that voice, our voice in our head is so powerful. So when we're trying to reshift, reprogram, reframe our beliefs, when we're starting to look at, okay, this one's not really serving me. If I believe that's not possible, I'm not allowed to have what I want. That was one of my beliefs. Or our self-talk. Some of my self-talk things have been, I'm useless. I am stupid. I am whatever. That voice, it has a big effect on us. If you're telling yourself that you're useless or that you can't, then how likely are you going to be able to do the thing that you're trying to do? If you keep telling yourself that I can't do this, I love that thing that whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you are right. Either way. So let's believe we can. Because if you believe you can't, you won't be able to do it. If you believe you can, it's absolutely possible. Just it's shifting that belief. And that can sometimes take a bit of work, but it doesn't have to be hard. It can be, just a reframe. Just looking at the positive instead of, I don't want you to talk to me that way. When hubby says, I don't care, that's a negative way of saying that. Instead, we could reframe it to a positive way. Please say, I don't mind instead. That would feel so much better for me. Recognizing how that makes us feel. When you say I don't care, I feel unvalued, I feel unloved, I feel whatever it is that comes up for you and your triggers. We all have them. Now that I can't thing, oh my gosh, the amount of people that tell themselves that they can't. My mum's a big one. My hubby does it quite a lot too, I've realised. When we tell ourselves we can't, then we can't. Let's flip that. If you don't want to, or you won't do it, instead of I can't do it or I don't want to do it, that is so different to I can't. That is a choice. We are making it a choice. If I won't do it or I don't want to do it, we are making a conscious choice. When we tell ourselves we can't, we are subconsciously, we are telling ourselves that we can't, and that's it. When we say I don't know, that tells us subconscious stuff there. When someone asks us a question and you say you don't know, that tells our subconscious mind to stop looking for the answer. Oh, I don't know. That's okay. Fine. You think, I have to think about that. Then we'll think about the answer and we'll come up with something. It's amazing. I love these little things. Very, very interesting to me. So when we know all these things about ourselves and more, we can more of what we want for ourselves and what we want for our loved ones. We can have more of that, do more of that, more of what we want. We can achieve more of what we want. So for example, that eating clean and exercising, when we know that that's important to us, or when that's an aim or a goal that we're going towards, we don't want to be self-sabotaging and telling ourselves that we can't. Or we want to look at the beliefs that come up when we don't do the thing that we say we want to do. We want to build trust with ourselves again. You know, we all have this amazing gut instinct that tells us so much. It keeps us safe, and we've been conditioned to ignore it from tiny babies. When we get something shoved in our mouth every time we cry, or all the things. There's so many different ways this happens, but we get out of alignment with how we feel, with even when we feel hungry. Food can be a really big suppressant. It can be a really big thing in a lot of ways. It can serve a lot of stuff. But instead of not doing what we say we want to do and then feeling crappy about it, we want to bring some conscious awareness to what's going on for us there, or making a choice. Like if we decide we're going to go to the gym every day at 6 a.m. and then one day we decide, I don't want to today. I'm sore, I'm tired, I just want to go back to sleep. We're allowed to decide that. We're allowed to make that conscious decision and think, no, I'm not going to go today. I'll go tomorrow, and I'm not going to make it mean anything, that I'm useless or that I can't or that I whatever. I'm just going to decide, nope, I'm going to have a rest day today. That's fine. I'm not going today. Great. But when we do it and we lay there and we think, oh, I'll go tomorrow. I know I've used the same example there, but I used to tell myself, I'll just do it tomorrow. No one will know. That was the story I had there. No one will know. I will know. I will know that I didn't do the thing that I said that I wanted to do. I will know. That is different. That is not holding our trust with ourselves, which we want to do. We want to be able to be trustworthy. We want to be able to do the things we say we were going to do, even just for ourselves. It's important in lots and lots of ways. So knowing what we want, helping us make decisions when we know ourselves, know all these things about us and understand all these things that are going on before us. So we went to Europe, I can't remember how many years ago now. Our daughter was 2.5 and she's now 7. So 5 years ago, we went to Europe for 4 months, and it was going to be this amazing experience, except I couldn't make decisions, and I told myself that I can't make decisions. I'm no good at making decisions. I don't know what I want. I don't know where I want to go, how long I want to stay for, all of these things. I don't know how I'm supposed to be doing this. I don't know what we're meant to be doing. Instead of just going with whatever we wanted to do and just enjoying it and just going with it and knowing that I could handle it, whatever happened, we all could, we're all capable. This was my mum, my husband, myself, and our 2.5-year-old daughter. Instead, I got really overwhelmed and I struggled big time with all of these decisions because I was trying to live up to whatever I thought I was supposed to be doing. There are no rules. If we're going on a trip to Europe, there is no one there telling us how we're supposed to do it, or that we're doing it wrong, or if we're feeling good, if we're enjoying it, then yay, it's great. I feel like I did it wrong. But if I could have just been present and been happy with whatever we did and not be feeding into that fear of missing out, that was a big one. But yeah, that overwhelm in the decisions and all of those things, those stories we tell ourselves, I'm not good at making decisions, I can't decide. I can make good decisions, especially if I decide to, if I tell myself I can. But when we know ourselves better, we know what we want for ourselves, our days, our lives, how we want to live. So I've already shared about like figuring out what I wanted to wear, what I feel comfortable with, like that I don't have to wear a certain outfit around certain people, getting more comfortable. What is our favorite color? That was a big one for me as well. Learning what is my favorite color. Purple or blue? I think it's actually blue, but I wear a lot of purple too. Purple was definitely my favorite color for quite a few years there, and I'm like, I don't know that it actually is. I think blue is my favorite. If I have to pick one, who makes up the rules that I even have to pick one? How about they can both be? But going through, my best friend had a real issue that I chose blue, that I wanted to paint my caravan blue. Like, so I'll show you the beautiful colour of the walls that we've painted in here. And she's like, no, you have to paint it purple because you like purple. I'm like, no, I don't want to paint my caravan purple. Whoops. I don't want to paint the caravan purple. I want to paint it blue. She's like, no. I'm like, well, I get to decide that actually. I get to decide that I like blue better than purple and I want to paint it blue. My friend's not even going to see the caravan. So, or not for, not often. I have to live in it. Same with our hair, Someone, they might have to look at it if they must. They don't have to. They don't have to take an issue with our hair. We're the one who's got to be happy with it, who's got to live with it. All these things that we get to release, that we don't have to hold on to, that we don't have to worry about, that I used to worry about. Another example I have there is with my daughter. I used to take any parenting advice very personally, and it's always well-meaning, and everyone who has a child or has anything to do with a child wants to give you their advice, and it's okay to take on what we want and leave the rest, sort of thing. We don't have to take on everyone's advice. There's no one way of doing this either. But I always used to try and fit in way too many activities and get us from here to there, and we'd be exhausted, or she would sleep in really late because it was really hard to get her to sleep at night no matter what I did. It was just, she's going to sleep at 10 o'clock at night no matter what I do. I can lay in the dark with her for 3 hours, can leave her there on her own, no matter what we were doing. She was not going to sleep any earlier, so she'd sleep in late in the morning instead, and I'm like, well, that's fine. But then if I'd try and wake her up in the mornings because I felt like I had to go and take her to these play groups, she would be so crabby. She would be so tired and miserable. She would cry the whole time we were at this play group. I'm like, what is the point? What am I doing? Let's go home. And same with, I was trying to get her to sleep in a cot because I believed, or I let people tell me that she should be sleeping in a cot. And I had the healthcare nurse come and help me try and get her settled in a cot. I'm like, I'm actually happy with her sleeping in my bed. It's fine. We're both getting more sleep that way. This is torture trying to do this. It took so much effort and energy, and I'm like, I don't even care. Why am I doing this? So getting to know what you actually want in a situation and what you're happy with. If you're happy with letting your child sleep in your bed or your baby, go for it. Just make it safe. We'll preface that one that, co-sleeping, bed sharing can be really safe in certain circumstances, and in some circumstances it cannot be. So do your research and all of that. But check in with what you actually want. And not just what society says that we have to do, or what we believe it's always been this way, so this was the way it always must be. Not at all. No, it's not even true. So when we know ourselves, we can ask ourselves questions like, where do we want to live? Like, there are so many options. Some people love the city, some people love the beach, some people love the mountains. All of the different things. Some people prefer the hot, some people prefer the cold. We all want different things, and I love that. When we can feel like we're competing or that there's not enough for everyone, we don't even want the same things. Everyone wants something at least slightly different. So we can all have what we want because we don't want the same things. Nobody wants exactly the same things. We're all a little bit different. We can agree to disagree. We don't all have to agree to live the way that person wants to live, because we all want something at least a little different. Whether you want 2 kids or 3 or 7 or whatever, or no kids. What kind of house? When you imagine your dream house, what does it look like? Is it modern and chic, or is it, beautiful natural wood? Is it wood fires, or is it wide open glass and beach views? What is your dream house? What do you want? We don't spend enough time visualizing and picturing or thinking about what we actually want. We can end up somewhere we're like, why am I here? Is this actually even what I want? It's really important to check in with that. If it is, then awesome. Yay, well done. If it's not, then what are we going to do to start stepping us towards where we want to be? Do we want property? Big property, no garden to have to maintain. What is it that you're after? Surrounded by whom? Do you want neighbours close by or far, far away? Or a community that's close-knit and you talk to and you know all your neighbours' names? Or what for you? It's different for all of us. What do we want to do for a living? For our work in the world? We can change that work. Work can be a 4-letter word. You know, it doesn't have to be something awful or something we just have to do. It gets to be something that you actually really enjoy. If you could get paid to do anything in the world, what would that be? And look at that and play with it, dream with it, sort of look at, hey, how could I make that a possibility? People can get paid for all sorts of different things. Eating. There's a lady on YouTube who eats food and makes videos and gets paid millions. It's crazy. You can make a business out of pretty much anything. But what do you want to do for a living? Or don't you want to work at all? You know, what are you going to do instead? What are your alternatives? There are alternatives, absolutely. You know, I've mentioned about traveling with free camps and house sitting and volunteer exchange programs. We don't need to necessarily work in the traditional sense of the word. There are so many different ways to do life. There's so many different cultures that do things completely differently. What do you want to do in your free time? What are your passions? What do you want to read books about? All the things. What do you want? Because it's important what you want, not just what someone else tells you that you want. So knowing what we like, what clothes we want, all of those things. I've covered that one. Why change ourselves to suit others? Like change our hair. How does it hurt them? How we have our hair? It really doesn't. If they're choosing that to make that their issue, then no, not going to make that my issue anymore. It's not about us, and we don't have to seek their approval. Acceptance for me was a really big one, but I've realized that I don't actually need that either. The only one who needs to really truly accept ourselves is us. And if we're not accepting ourselves the way we are, the way we already are, we can absolutely want more or something different as well, but we can love and appreciate and accept ourselves for exactly the way we are right now. Perfect within all our imperfections. We don't have to wait until we are whatever, you know, until we lose a certain amount of weight or until we have achieved or have this or that or whatever else it is. It's not required. We get to be lovable right now as we are. We just are. We don't need to seek anyone else's approval or permission or even their acceptance. We need to love and accept ourselves. And if we're happy with our choices, with our decisions, with the life that we are living, if we're living a life that we are proud of, then we're going to call in people who are going to be happy with that too, or that might align with as well. And there may be people who have issues with that, like I've mentioned before, about how it can be so challenging for them that it's so different from what they think is possible, from what they believe, that can be where that rejection comes from. It's not really about us. So, and if they're going to reject us when we're living in our true, authentic us, being true to ourselves, when we're being ourselves, and they're going to reject us, did they ever really accept us when we were trying so hard to make them happy? When we were trying to change ourselves or do whatever it was that we didn't want to upset anyone with? You know, when we're playing those roles or wearing the masks and all of the things. We're looking into more of those in the course as well. So, knowing how I feel and why, our triggers, we've looked at those. When in my life I might have felt like that before, we can dig into some of those things a bit deeper. Recognizing our triggers, our thoughts, beliefs, because that's where it all comes from. Seeing the cycles, seeing how that's played out even within our families and the society, that, you know, we're told this is the way it is. Or, for example, in our family unit when we were growing up, and our parents weren't allowed to feel a certain feeling like sadness or anger, and it was always shut down. And so they don't do this consciously, but they shut that down in us as well. And that is a cycle that gets passed on. If they were never allowed to feel sad or cry, and they never learned how to, they don't really have the capacity to hold space for us in that. We can absolutely heal that and release that and heal those cycles and release that so it doesn't get passed down and into the next generation. But otherwise it just keeps playing out unless we do some of these things to sort of heal some of those stuff. So when we're healing this stuff and we're doing this work for ourselves, we're actually healing generations, past and future, that we're not passing this on to our kids, that our kids are allowed to cry. They're allowed to feel these feelings, which has been a big one for me. You know, I cried the other day when I was talking to my mum. I was having a bad day and a very emotional day. And I said, there's days where I just think, I want my mummy. And I cried. And she's like, don't cry. And that's what she kept saying was, don't cry. I was like, no, it's okay. It's okay. I'm allowed to feel sad. I'm allowed to cry. It's fine. I need that release. It's okay. I'm healing all these things and all these things are coming up and they're ready to go. I'm not dragging all this old baggage with me. It gets to be let go. So, recognizing why we're playing out certain patterns, like drinking the Coke. You know, that's an old pattern that's come through. What is that about? Take on certain roles. So the roles I've mentioned a few times, but I didn't really explain it. We will be going deeper into that in the course. The good girl role, that was a big one for me. I've got to be the good girl. There's the opposite. There's playing the rebel. I may have played sometimes as well, you know, not always a fan of the rules. You can play the hero, but the hero can't ask for help. The hero can't be wrong. He's, you know, Batman or Superman or whatever. He's the hero. You can't ask for help. He's always taking on everyone else's stuff. So it's exhausting if we're playing those roles all the time. But we're looking at how those roles served us and how they kept us safe or how they protected us, how they may have also actually caused some problems for us, how playing that good girl role led me to get out of alignment with me. I was always trying to people please and please other people and not doing what I wanted to do or losing touch with what I wanted to do and how I wanted things to be. I'm nearly done. Nearly through all the notes. So another one we look at is, where in my life have I been shut down? So those feelings where our parents weren't allowed to feel these feelings, so they subconsciously shut them down in us as well. Getting back in touch with knowing how I feel, which emotions were allowed or accepted as we were growing up. I've mentioned all of that already there, but recognizing our triggers and some of our great strategies to be able to handle them resourcefully, to communicate effectively, releasing some of those things, all of it. And there's my notes. Yay. So there are some of the ways that knowing me, or where some of that knowing me stuff comes in to our lives, and how it can be really important to get back in touch with that, how we may have lost touch with that. If anything has come up for you in any of that, please feel free to share it with me. Comments if you feel comfortable to. You're welcome to message me. I'm always open to any of the conversations and going deeper on any of this. So that's pretty much a wrap. That's day one. I'm doing 2 more of these. So tomorrow night we'll be looking at the when. The when. When is it important to know ourselves better, to get in touch with ourselves, all of those things. And then the why. The why would we want to know ourselves? I think we covered some of that in here as well. They all kind of link in together. But there's more to expand on, of course. So Knowing Me is my course that starts on the 15th of June. And if you're interested in that, please, feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all. It's going deeper into all of this stuff. It's learning about all of these things. So about those roles that we play, the good girl, the rebel, the hero, the people pleaser, all of those things where we feel like we have to be professional all the time and we can't ever take that mask off and it's exhausting, or we can when we get home, but we can't let other people see that whatever, we have to wear a uniform almost. All these things, we're looking at our feelings, at our values, at what we actually want, playing with that. Looking at our core drivers. The core driver one we will be actually doing over a one-on-one coaching call, because I thought that would be easier than trying to do that one in a group setting. So it is a group coaching program where it'll be running for 8 weeks. So we'll be doing live Zoom calls. So they'll go for probably about 2 hours, where I'll be chatting and presenting. I'll have slides. I'll be presenting some of the information, the background on some of these things, like the roles that we play and all of those things. We'll have some great visuals there to help explain that. We'll also be looking at our inner child So where I've mentioned rebuilding trust with ourselves, that's a really, really good one to do. That was probably one of the most impactful tools or exercises I've done along my journey of getting to know myself, was looking at my inner child. It was really, really eye-opening, and I'd already done quite a bit before we'd done that one, and I was like, wow, it was huge. Definitely lots of learnings came out of that one. So I'm really excited about this course. I love it. I'm really excited to share. It's a culmination of my favorite tools and things that I've learned along the way, and the things that I've found most impactful for me. And yeah, it's all a whole heap of awesome, amazing things that are going to help you get to know you better, and more of what you like and how you want things to be, and how to achieve the things you want to achieve and what they are, and all of the things. So yeah, if you're interested, come and join me or come chat with me about it. We start on the 15th of June, 8 weeks, so 8 Zoom calls weekly, also 1 a week, and 1 coaching call as well. It's $88 for the 8 weeks, and there's also an option for Voxer support for those 8 weeks as well, so where you can voice and text me anytime, any day, as many times as you want, so you can be contacting, have that support every day if you want, for those 8 weeks, and the upgrade to that is $144 total, so I think it's an extra $56 for the Voxer support for the 2 months. So yay, huge value, awesome stuff. Very, very exciting to be sharing all of this with you. And yeah, if you would like to hear more, come and join me again tomorrow night, where we're looking at the when, and then on Thursday where we're looking at the why. And there's no pressure at all. It's just hopefully you got some value out of what we were chatting about tonight as well. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you, and I hope you have a beautiful night, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.
Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and if you would like to continue the conversation, please come and find me over on Facebook under Jocelyn Louise, or of course don't forget to like and subscribe. If you are interested in the course Knowing Me, we start on June 15, 2021, and it is run inside a private Facebook group, but you will also get access to a Dropbox option, so all the options available, payment plans available as well. If you have any questions, please do reach out, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Thanks so much. Bye.